Okay, so first of all, welcome to Crypto Plaza again. We are really very happy to have this conversation. I think, and we were talking about in the last Congress this weekend, that probably cryptoeconomics is one of probably of the biggest innovations things that permanent crypto has delivered to the world. So I think really it's really important. So we are right now even in collaboration with Token Engineering Academy in Germany. That is one of the most known places, and we do a lot of work here. So to have a very big expert in that topic, for me, it's really important, because people have to understand the relevance of that kind of designs that are not so easy to do it. There are not so much people who have experience in that. So Lukasz, thank you very much for coming to Crypto Plaza. I think this is a very critical topic in our space, because that's probably one of the biggest innovation that crypto give us. So thank you for coming. Thank you also, Lukasz, for organizing this conference. And okay, looking forward to hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. So thank you everyone for attending today. We will talk a little bit about the cryptoeconomics, its impact on business. And before we start, I would like to understand what is my audience. So maybe we're in Crypto Plaza, so I will maybe avoid question, does anyone heard about crypto? I think yes. But I would like to understand, do we have here any business owners who are running business on Web3, crypto, blockchain, something around it? Builders, developers, okay, investors? I think, yeah, everyone. Okay, cool, thank you very much. So let me start today. Not this one, it's this one. So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Lukasz Szymanski. I'm the founder and CEO of Tokenomia.pro, which is Web3 consulting and blockchain development company. My background is technical. I have 11 years of experience in technology industry, where I was starting as a software engineer, and then I ended up as a director of engineering in OLX Group, which is market platforms in 30 countries, and we were handling the traffic of over 300 million people monthly. And also, as we've heard, we are also connected with Token Engineering Academy. I am the local host in Poland for Token Engineering Academy, and we are also bringing this into practice in our company. I will tell about it later and explain you what exactly it is and how it works. Then also I finished plenty of courses. I like to learn, basically. So that's why also I'm giving talks, because the best for me to learn also different perspectives. So I will be happy if we can discuss later. And in terms of knowledge, the courses in Harvard about economics, business analytics and finance, and MBA. Then I'm also giving lectures at universities, strictly related to blockchain topics, and we as a company are patron in one of the university where we are running a project with students around decentralized autonomous organizations. So like basically my background is a lot when it comes to Web2, so kind of classical companies on different levels, plus the practical experience from different angles in Web3 as well. And if you're wondering why should I listen to you, just to adapt to what I already said, is that my practice, so it's not theory. So my experience when it comes to running a Web2 and Web3 business, because Tokenomia.pro is kind of both actually. And I'm in the shoes of different, let's call it perspective, meaning that not only as a business owner, but also as an investor, also as an user of some solutions. And these are the perspectives that today I'm going to share with you. And also, as a company, we help 30 clients to build and run business in Web3. And we are the only ones in Poland and only one of the few in the world, as we've heard, that are practicing token engineering approach. And here you can see, yeah, one tweet from Angela, which is running Token Engineering Academy, where we are listed across like only a couple of the best ones consulting in those terms across the world. So this is me, this is Tokenomia.pro, and let's start with our topic today. I hope you can see everything. Yeah, that will be important because later I will share with you all of the different charts and so on. So feel free to even be closer here. So anyway, let's compare economy to crypto economy. Let's start with some kind of definitions. So the classic economy, in terms of system and how we can map it, it's about the system that coordinates the production, distribution, and consumption of goods. The most important thing for me is that we have some specific actors, and the classic economy involves the interaction between them. So besides individuals and businesses like us, there are also financial institutions, commercial banks, central banks, and governments, right? Which is kind of a problem, but then we will talk about it later. The crypto economy also involves individuals and businesses, but there is no such component. There are no such actors as we can see in the classic economy of financial institutions, banks, and so on. And in exchange for that, we do have primitives and protocols that are running the whole show, which I will explain in a little bit later. I like this chart because it shows that we are living in really kind of historic event right now, what is happening. I mean, what is happening in the world, it's not maybe such a great thing to live in, but anyway, we can see that there are really big changes, and we do believe personally that crypto economics will play a bigger role in the whole ecosystem. I'm not saying that it will be the only one. It will be just alternative system, but it will exist. And I'm going to show you the perspective of, for example, business owner, and how you can compare a classic economy approach versus crypto economy approach, and how it will help businesses to actually take advantage of whatever we call it, whether it's Web3, blockchain, or all of the building blocks. What you can see here, we'll start with monetary policy. And you can see here two charts. And the one on the left is about its simplified model of monetary policy in the world, also including some jokes. The right one is about how crypto economics works. And these charts are created in machinations, which we're using to model some simple systems. And before I will play them, because these are interactive, before I will play them, what is important here? The most important fact is the circles are representing some pools. You have like resource connections here, and the triangles are representing the source of some resources that we are looking at. So if we will look at like classic economy, we have like central bank that is printing a lot of money. Then we have also fractional reserve system that works together with commercial bank system, which is also about creating basically money from a thin air. Then everything is routed through the government. Then we have like interactions between buyer and businesses that are exchanges products and services. And also there are taxes that are going back to the government. There are deposits in commercial banks, on top of which we can create another fractional reserve. And how we end up, like the absolute metrics are not important here. What is important here, that at the end of the day, the ratio between the resources, where they are and who is in control of them, are not really healthy, as we can feel it right now in the world. How it compares to the crypto economic system? In crypto economic system, what is really important is that we already know in most of the cases what is the supply of whatever resource we are talking about, right? So there is no like magic wand that is printing the money. Either we know that the supply is capped at some level, or there is some already planned inflation, which is automatic and executed in an automatic way, or deflation as well. Then what we can see is that interaction is pretty simple. There is interaction between buyers, sellers, and businesses, and some specific release schedule. Why it's important? It's important because as a business owner, we are in a far much better position, because we know that we are operating in a stable environment of supply of some resource that we are count on, basically, that we are setting up as a foundation for our whole system. So for example, If we want to create our crypto economic system on Ethereum blockchain, we know already what is the whole supply, what is the whole idea of Ethereum as a main resource and the way of payment. And we can plan accordingly and we can simulate accordingly the whole system, which is already something that I'm showing you, and I will show you also later on the rest of the slides. But I will try to maintain the complexity of slides that I'm showing to not overwhelm you with all of the informations. So then, yeah, medium of exchange. This is the best one as a business owner. I think that most of the people here tried at least once to send some bank transfer, international bank transfer to other company. That's the pain in the ass, and this is traditional economy. So again, this is simplified model, of course, and we included here a little bit of joke, but anyway, like how it works. So we are the sender, we are asking bank to send the money. We need to wait at least 3 days, and bank can tell us that we don't really like this transaction and let's block your whole account just in case, right? So yeah, and receiver doesn't have money, we don't have money, no one has money, and that's kind of the story. And this happens especially, I don't know how about Spain, but when it comes to Poland, from where I am, you can see my sunburn, so probably you already know that I'm not from here. But anyway, in Poland, there are plenty of cases where banks are either don't want to open your account because you are somehow related to the crypto business, or banks are suspending your account because at some point they just figure out, okay, you are kind of connected to crypto, so let's just block it just in case, right? And especially if you are sending some money to the crypto exchange, that's like kind of by default. So this is what happens, and why it's important from business perspective. Like I do think that, at least for me, one of the most important things in running a business is cash flow. This is the thing that we need to care about as business owners. So if we have infrastructure that we really can't rely on seamless cash flow transfer, and we are dependent on the banking system that can block our accounts and so on, it's not really the best environment that we would like to be in. And on the next slide, I'm going to explain to you how it works on the blockchain. And I really right now ask you for your full attention, because I know that there is like plenty of people that still don't understand that. They are trying to overcomplicate it. So I put a lot of effort in creating this model, and I hope that finally everyone here will understand how medium of exchange on blockchain works. So let me play this one. Yes, exactly. So this is really important thing, right? Like we are laughing right now, of course, but like personally, I don't know why it doesn't work this way. Like in classic economy, it doesn't make any sense for me, right? Especially in the times that we live in, where there is so much innovation, especially around AI right now. Like we can see that plenty of new tools, like thousands of tools, are deployed on daily basis. So we also need a medium of exchange that will help us to really bring on this innovation and not be constantly forced to fight with institutions. Like, if you think about it as a business owner, if you would like to do everything by the book, in terms of, at least in Poland, in terms of accounting, in terms of all of like the legal, financial stuff and so on, then you don't have any more time to run a business, basically, because you are all into this bureaucracy. So you need to invest a lot of money into creating a team of people that will be able to handle that on your behalf. So you will be able to focus on business, which doesn't make any sense, really. This is not something that is bringing the value. So that's why I think it's a really important component. Okay, let's go to the next one. Centralization versus decentralization. And I think one of my favorite topic. So as then society, we are running in this world where we kind of agree, I mean, maybe not as directly, but someone somewhere in the past, that it will be a good idea to actually delegate to centralized structures some tasks, and to make sure that these people will be able to, first of all, design proper system to help us, to secure us in some ways, and then execute it. And what's the problem right now? That we can see that it really doesn't work at all. That's the main problem, meaning that when we've heard all of the stories about FTX collapse in US and the involvement of SEC chairman, SEC chairman, and at the end of the day, instead of like securing the customers of FTX, the result was actually that SEC do an enforcement action on totally different exchange, which is Coinbase. Like, it doesn't make any sense for me. So when we've seen all of the collapses of different centralized structures or centralized exchanges, all of the decentralized exchanges were working pretty well. I mean, not issue at all, never with withdrawal or deposit or transactions, anything. So for me, at least, it poses a question. Okay, so if I am the business owner, and if I'm a business owner, and at some point in time, like let's take this Coinbase example. Coinbase is known for, as a company that I believe is most proactive in trying to work with regulators. And at the end of the day, they are also sued by SEC. It doesn't make any sense, right? So I think this is a really wrong signal that regulators are sending to the market, because if you are a business owner and you would like to comply with all of the regulations, you want to proactively work with regulator, so he can help you with understanding what's the classification of your token and how to navigate the whole space properly. And at the end of the day, you are going to be sued anyway, then why bother? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I think this is the really important discussion right now on the whole market, in the whole world, like, because I don't think it's healthy for anyone that we are going to some war with regulators instead of creating something great together. And another example is, again, like collapse of many banks, and like we know the reason, right? But kind of mainstream media, they know better, and of course everything is the fault of crypto, which again doesn't really help anyone. And I do think like the main point here is about the fact that when we think about decentralization, when we think about creating decentralized protocol, decentralized business platform, and we are bringing like really simple model of getting fee on top of the platform that we are providing, because we are enabling some value exchange between agents in the ecosystem, or we are streamlining it or something like that, then it just works. Like, no one really needs to interfere, no one really needs to control that, because it works. I mean, of course, there are bad agents, and I'm totally up to make sure that, for example, regulators will focus on them, not for the legit businesses. But this is, again, totally another story. One of my biggest pain in the neck, which is KYC procedure. So when you are running a business in whatever manner connected to especially crypto, then you need to take KYC process, know your customer, and anti-money laundering. So you are going to set up your bank account, and there is one KYC process that you need to take. You want to set up your payment provider, you are going to take another procedure of KYC. Then you want to set up your exchange account, another KYC procedure, and then after some time, you again need to verify again in each of the provider. So you are basically, as a business owner, you are doing the same stuff, and just for those people that are not running businesses. KYC in this case, it's not selfie with your ID. It's not like that. It's you need to provide all of the documents around who is of your company and all of the documents regarding your bank statements and all of this stuff. It takes time, which for me is again, it's not bringing any value to the business, and it's just pain in the neck. It doesn't make any sense if we need to again and again go through the same process. So that's why. So you will not think that I am so really radical in terms of decentralization. There can be some hybrid approach that is already existing on the market, which is using self-sovereign identity infrastructure, meaning that we can just do this KYC AML process once, and everyone from bank accounts to payments providers and exchanges can just verify on top of this infrastructure, is it legit? And that's all. So we are doing it once, and everyone is happy with that, especially us, right? So that's one of my favorite use cases. So I'm not saying, again, don't do KYC or something like that. What I'm saying is Web3 technology is allowing us right now to make far much better systems that we need to work with, and everyone can be beneficent of that. Transparency and security. So what you can see here, this is when it comes to accounting and financial statements, let's say that I'm not a big fan of it. And what Web3 is bringing to us, the whole blockchain infrastructure, is transparency, right? And the security, the fact that we can't change the transactions that took place already. And this is a video from a great tool, which is Token Terminal. What you can see there is automatically generated financial statements for the protocols. And you can divide them by quarters, years, months, weeks, and so on, with different metrics that you can track. So why this is important? It's important because if you want to run your business in a decentralized manner, this is what you can get. You don't need any like accounting department here. It's like it's just there, right? I mean, blockchain is ledger. It's there. No one can change that. So it's secure, and we can automatically generate all of the statements on top of that. So we don't need to pay for a lot of accounting services. We don't need to spend a lot of time on it. And yeah, it just works. So for me, it's really important to bring to you this perspective of totally different world. We still can connect them, but we need to be aware that this better world, especially for business owners, it's here and it's ready, and we can just basically use it. And I'm telling also that because we are constantly getting these questions, okay, but why, what this technology can bring to businesses, right? How you can use them. And I'm sharing with you like just one of my top of the mountain favorite examples. But the most important thing is the fact that we can create new economies. And this is why I started the company, exactly, because if you think about it, in this real world, in classic economy, if we would like to test out some totally new approach to economy, to the fact how as a society we are exchanging some goods, how we are distributing them, and so on, I mean, it's kind of impossible, right? If even you would like to do it, you need to really convince a bunch of people, especially government, and run some experiments and tests, which will take a lot of time. While in the Web3 world, we can just deploy constantly new economies, and we can do it on daily basis. That's not a problem at all. We can we can model them and simulate them, and because of the fact that Web3 and blockchains has native payments in form of cryptocurrency, and it's decentralized, and especially you are able to emit your own digital assets. This is why you can create your own economies. And I will share with you some specific examples in 2 slides from now. But just for the people who who want to kind of create a mental model around what this Web3 is, this is one of the ways how you can approach it. I think this is the best one when it comes to explaining it to people that are coming from Web2. So this is model, as far as I remember, proposed by the blog in the research. The DApp framework, meaning that we are classifying specific layers of Web3 into doors, which is all about the fact, especially like MetaMask, most known example. So the solution that is allowing you to connect to what's under the hood. Then we have applications, and applications are basically the solutions that are built on top of the existing infrastructure, mainly created towards retail customers, so more like B2C. Then you have primitives, where this is, I like to call it Lego bricks. So these are primitives where they are creating some specific, they are solving some specific problem, but mostly they are addressed towards the customer, are applications or other primitives. So this is why this kind of business approach then is different. And then we have protocols, which are basically blockchains. And I think the main point here is, first of all, as a business owner or someone who wants to create some new project in the space, I don't think you should be bothered anymore with the protocols layer, like blockchains. Unless you are creating another blockchain, then okay, that's fine. But if you are not creating another blockchain, you can just plug and play to existing infrastructure, and that's all. You just need to know on a high level how it works. Then either you can pick that you are creating some primitives, which is more, I like to call it like B2B approach. So you are creating this Lego brick that other primitives can use and applications, or you are creating some specific application that can leverage the opportunities of new economies. And okay, let's create some, let's check some model right now. Here, what you can see, this is machinations that I mentioned. So the software where we are modeling different systems, simulating them. Here, sorry. Here you can see a simulation of automated market maker, which is the model of market making on decentralized exchanges. And the goal is not right now to explain to you how it works and so on, but the goal is to show you that you can simulate everything that you wish. So all of the mechanics, all of the actions that agents are taking in the ecosystem, which is providing liquidity, withdrawing liquidity, swapping the tokens, and everything is here, right? So we can simulate the whole token flow. And why I like to show it is because, at least in our practical experience, then of course you can draw some charts and so on. You are exporting all of the data when it comes to variables and the ecosystem that you can build on top of that. But anyway, why it's important? It's important because in our practical experience, when we are working on the systems with clients, this is our first step, because it helps a lot to people to have this visual idea of where my resources are flowing, where they are getting, where they are accumulated, where they are not. And we are running all of these simulations because, like, the main goal is, first of all, to make sure that your new crypto economy is sustainable. This is the main goal. So if you will look at all of the, not all, most of the projects in a crypto space, and for example, the price chart, then you can see this huge spike at the beginning and then constantly going to zero. So this is exactly why we are modeling the economies, to avoid such thing. Also, why it's important. For example, imagine that you are creating decentralized autonomous organization, and the tokens, of course, represents your votes, your right to vote. And if then someone can acquire your token at a really cheap price, and you are not able to account it, then your holdout doesn't make any sense, because everyone can go buy a lot of tokens, create the proposal, and vote on this proposal with all of these tokens, and for example, even close your DAO. So that's why that's why it's important to simulate possible behaviors, and especially what bad actors can do. Here is more sophisticated the model. I'm not going to show this in Zoom. That's not the goal. The goal is to show some charts. What I'm showing here. Here we can see the simulation of initial simulation of dynamic exchange traded fund on chain. So this is really great example because it shows the possibility of creating financial instruments that we have in classic economy, where you don't have access to many of the actions, meaning that if we would like to create exchange traded fund and represent some index or even create some index, then in classic economy you are not able to be authorized provider, because if there is anyone who needs to provide some assets that are underlying assets of the fund, then you need to be again authorized, you need to have all of the licenses and so on, which takes a lot of time. You need to have a lot of money and patience to do that. In Web3 world, because it's permissionless, you can create the same financial instruments and you can give access to them to everyone, meaning that if you will imagine like exchange traded fund that is trying to track some NFT index, right? You can be provider of this NFT for this exchange traded fund because, for example, you have it in exchange either for like the instant liquidity that you can get on top of the token that is minted there, or in exchange of some buyback in the later time. And this is one of the example of such a dynamic NFT, which means that it's not even static index, but it's dynamic in a way that depending on who is throwing what under the assets, then it constantly rebalancing itself. So this is like the first thing, initial phase when it comes to token engineering process, where after the discovery workshops, where we are defining, okay, what exactly we need to build, we need to model that, and we need to run all of the simulations and also understand the whole econometric model. And later, what is critical, here what you can see, it's the chart of behaviors, mechanisms, states, and metrics in the whole system that we are creating. This is a simple example of this exchange traded fund. So when you are creating crypto economies, like this is the critical task to do. So you need to understand who are your actors, you need to understand what behaviors they are going to do, you need to understand then what are the mechanics in all of the systems and how it will impact the states and what metrics are important for us. And then like the example that I showed to you, this is not enough. And what we are doing later, like then we are doing the whole simulations in the code, is because it allows us to create far much more sophisticated simulations. Like for example, when you would like to go into this is done in CAD, like if you would like to go into like specifics around, hey, what if, and this is basically what our simulations for, answering the question what if in my ecosystem there will be more like sellers than buyers? What if there will be more providers of such NFTs than the others? What if no one will do basically anything? What if, and so on and so on. So in the previous charts, when we've seen machinations, it was more about generic layer, and then in CAD we are going deeper into saying, okay, let's understand the specific agents and their behaviors, and let's understand all of the scenarios that they're creating in the system and how it impacts, as you can see, again, different charts, how it impacts all of the different variables in our system. At the end of the day, if you think about it, everything is a system, right? You can describe every action, even an action of a person or like me giving the lecture, as on some kind of system. And in each of the system, we need to, first of all, understand what are we optimizing for. This is really hard task, by the way, because there is no way to create like ideal system. There always needs to be some kind of compromise. And the whole modeling and simulation part is all of the understanding what are we optimizing for, describing it mathematically, and then on top of the simulations, understanding, okay, what will be the best the policies that I can involve that will be automatic, and what will be the best states of my system to maintain this optimization that I would like to bring. So that will be all for now. And if you would like to hear more our educational content, because we are all about it, we do have a YouTube channel, we do have also Spotify, so you can go there and check our different content. It's mainly for businesses. We are talking with professionals in the industry. So we are not talking about, crypto prices, market, and so on. Not really. We are talking about business. We are focusing about that. And yeah, that will be all for today. If you have any questions, I will be happy to engage in some discussion. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Do you have any question?